So I think the best way to handle this is if you are around Mount Chase. This is Route 11 right here, Morrow Plantation. This is going to be headed in that direction. Certainly there's thunder and lightning. A good idea to just treat this seriously. There is a tornado warning as a precaution. If you're around 212 here, Merrill, this is getting into Aroostook County at this point. Good idea to stay indoors, lowest level of your home, preferably a basement if you have one. And if you happen to know anybody who may have been up around Baxter State Park today, of course storms were in the forecast, but maybe they're driving home or headed back out of that direction. Might not be a bad idea to just give them a call, because the weather is rough up in this region, even if this particular storm at the moment, Keith, doesn't really look like it's producing a tornado.
It doesn't. If we could go back over to Max 1, I wonder if we should just sample some of these other ones that are coming into the same environment, because what's happening is these storms are all coming into the same shear environment, and so they're rotating briefly, some better than others, but quite a few are. So I would look down here and just see what these are doing. And they are not warned right now, but if we go over to any kind of velocity, let's just see if they're doing anything. As far as rotation, I don't see anything there. So we're basically looking at all of these echoes and looking to see if there's any couplets developing in it, and the National Weather Service is frankly doing the same thing. So we now know that the atmosphere is primed for these type of storms, and just at that point it becomes a matter of nowcasting it and watching it go into that air mass and see if it spins. Not every storm that goes in there is doing that, and broadly this round of storms is moving through, and then we do looks like have a little bit of a break behind the actual cold front. And I think most of this severe weather was modeled on the front end of things, so in the part before the actual cold front. Not that there won't be some thunderstorms in there, but it looks like that's the most likely spot for it. So once again, we're looking at this tornado warning, and once again I don't see much of anything left in this. And Ryan, that's an interesting one that really, we've had some longer track ones today. We don't know if they were long track tornadoes or just signatures. This one was short. It looked good for several frames, and then just kind of good, but it petered out.
Right. Yeah. Just thought to look, Keith, to see if we've gotten any storm reports or damage reports. Haven't seen any damage reports, but the Weather Service in Caribou did report a 55-mile-per-hour gust with that one of the other tornado-warned storms as it went through Stockholm. That was at Madawaska Lake. And then we also had a report here in Van Buren of a 47-mile-per-hour wind gust. And again, that was with the earlier storm which we were watching. Now this is northern area has pretty much just congealed into a line, and as Keith mentioned, there isn't much that's super concerning within this line, although there is this one area of very broad rotation here, again coming toward Ashland, which is one place we've been talking about quite a bit today. But it doesn't really appear on this southern end with that one lone storm, Keith, there's anything that pops out as super concerning at this point. Although it does appear they just extended the warning until 7 o'clock. They
did extend it. I wonder if that's more on the back end to trim it, but also, I don't know. I mean, I think it's one of those situations where they're just not dying to get rid of these warnings right now, even though I would argue there's not a lot there. If we look at the rotation tracks here, I just wanted to show you kind of what's been going on today if you haven't been with us, and those are all spots, not all of those were tornado warned, but those were all spots where we did have radar indicated rotation, so storms that are capable at least of producing a tornado. And Ryan mentioned earlier there was a cell over just on the south end of Moosehead, well not truly on the south end I guess, but in Beaver Cove on Moosehead, and we got a video of that. It looked like it was at least a funnel cloud, so that actually wasn't warned. There's the video there, thank you, where you wouldn't call it a tornado because it's not completely filled in and connecting to the ground, but it is a good looking funnel cloud. It's also very difficult to tell perspective wise if that was going to be a water spout over the lake or if it was going to be out over the forest there. But either way, that wasn't tornado warned yet. When you look at the rotation tracks, there was certainly some rotation that went through there. So each one of these yellow spots that we're going to look at this map here are showing spots where we've had at least rotation, which tracks forward into our tornado warning that is current. And we'll go back to that because it is our last tornado warning. I don't know, Ryan. I don't see it.
Yeah, this strikes me as one of those cases where it just isn't super concerning at this point, even though the warning did get extended. And it's, to my knowledge, I know Dana's back there. We haven't had anything in chat from the Weather Service that suggests they got a report of anything from this cell. I haven't seen anything.
No. Yeah, she says no, because that was my thought too, is like maybe they had some ground truth that would counteract the fact that it really doesn't look very good on radar. But short of that, and again, this is a good time to talk about the fact that for the National Weather Service and for us, frankly, our main job is to keep people safe. And so they would rather have a tornado warning that doesn't produce a tornado than no tornado warning and a tornado on the ground. And so that's kind of probably the environment we're operating in here. We'll look to see if there's any other storms, as I mentioned. Certainly this air mass, but specifically, it seems like on kind of the edges here is where we're seeing some stronger storms with some rotation. Like these right here don't look like anything at the moment, but I wouldn't be shocked if, let's just check them on the velocity while we can here. Yeah, I don't see anything there. But if those kept going into that air mass, it wouldn't shock me if they started rotating. And so you end up in this place, we call it nowcasting, where essentially what you're doing is watching storms come into an air mass that you know is conducive to producing rotation at the very least, if not tornadoes, and then you just watch them from there. It strikes me too, this is a side note, Ryan, but the mesoscale models, not really amazing on this. They were pretty bearish on today.
Right.
In general, and yet here we are.
Yeah, and I think that part of it is there's been this warm front that lifted through northern Maine, so there's just enough low-level spin the farther north you are in the state for some of this rotation. But you're right, it didn't really appear ahead of time like this would be something where we've got multiple tornado warnings. It was about 1 o'clock this afternoon. I sent you a text and said, hey, I read the Weather Service Storm Prediction Center's analysis of this, and they say it's possible, but it wasn't something that well ahead of time it looked like would be the case.
Yeah, we actually were discussing this in between tornado warnings today, that this was, luckily it does not appear to rise to this point, but what year was it? You remember it was the July
2017.
20. Yeah. Wow, that makes me.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, 2017. We had a true, for Maine, a true outbreak of tornadoes on a day that I would argue was less set up than today.
Right.
So it doesn't always correspond, obviously with this setup. But yeah, this tornado warning is very interesting. They're continuing it. I don't see it. I am interested to see, Ryan, how long storms rotate in this environment. Like,
right.
What time is it now? 6:40.
And some of you who are watching from Bangor around Penobscot Bay or down east, you're just not going to get any storms today because of the low clouds, the fact the wind's coming in off the ocean. So that's why all of this action has been up north. And we were saying that the last couple of days that this part of the state really wouldn't get much. But once you get just out of that marine influence, Keith, that's where we've been able to get some of these. But at the moment, this doesn't strike me as super concerning, but the warning is still up, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we might. This is one of those situations where I might think that we would make a call pretty soon. Even though I know we like to be on during tornado warnings, it just looks so. It doesn't look like much to me. And we're going through an area here where you would like to think you'd have some chance at ground truth. It's not like earlier we were in Allagash and it was just not going to happen. You could have had a good size tornado on the ground. You probably wouldn't have heard about it. But we're going to keep watching this. Let's take a look at a few more storms, and if they don't drop that, I would say that we can
I would agree.
Punch out and come back.
Yeah, you don't want to be a cry wolf situation either.
Yeah.
These they're usually pretty good about pulling back warnings if it's nothing, if nothing's really there.
Yeah.
But right now this doesn't look to be producing a tornado. But of course, with the warning there, if you're in the warning area around Patton, you got to take it seriously.
For sure. Okay, so I would say let's go back to our normal programming, and obviously we will jump back in if we see anything that looks more concerning or a different warning.